Hey everybody, welcome back to OHKO, a Pokemon VGC podcast. It's been a while. We hope you are doing well. I am Joe Brown. My usual co-host Sierra Dawn's currently at I don't know, the Fortnite Tomato Town. I think it's a Fortnite thing. She's doing something, casting Fortnite. Wishing her the best of luck. She's currently unavailable, so we had to fill in with our good friend Brady Smith. Brady, thank you for joining the podcast today. How are you doing, friend?
Thank you so much. I'm doing pretty good, my man. I had no idea about that Tomato Town event. That's new information to me, but congratulations, Sierra. I hope you're killing the Fortnite scene. That's awesome. So hopefully we keep up the vibes, keep it going good here. So welcome, everyone. Welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Sierra's always crushing it. On to new adventures. Speaking of, for her, shout outs to Sierra's officially announced over the last couple of days, I believe, as we're uploading this, that the World Championship caster announcements came out, and Sierra is one of them, so we'll be sure to talk to her next time she's available for the pod next week, of course. But congratulations to her and the rest of the team in Anaheim. Brady will be in Anaheim. I'll be in Anaheim as well. You know, we'll have some fun. I think that's where we should start, Brady. Let's start a little lighthearted. Let's start with the silly news about our Pokemon plushes. Arguably, but there's like winning worlds is number one, right? That's what's more thing to do. Number two is having a cool Pikachu Worlds plush, right?
Right, okay. So have we actually seen the Pikachu plush from the competitor back? They did that in Nats, didn't they? What does it look like?
Okay, hold on. Let me try to figure out. Usually Sierra's the one that pushes the button, so let me try to figure out how to share my screen. Wait for it. Oh my god, I'm so nervous. At least this one. There we go. Can you see that? Are you able to see that or no?
Yes. Wait 1 sec. My microphone is in the way. Whoa. Okay, we get them a champ? Or no, you gotta buy it.
There we go. Okay. So they've announced the exclusive Pokemon Center plushes. I'm very excited. I always get the plush, and I always try to get multiple Pikachus, right? Get some friends that aren't able to attend to Worlds, get them for them. But I also like the secondary Pokemon that have plushes. Like, remember Riolu with the scuba diving gear in Hawaii last year? You know,
yes, I do remember that. Yes. Also, didn't they have a Pikachu with that? I think as well. Maybe not.
That was the Pikachu. Yeah, and they had There's always some photos. I can't remember over the years. Sometimes they muddy in my head. But like, what are your first thoughts here? So this is obviously kind of like Grease Lightning, like 1950s diner themed California. Dude, with these leather jackets and stuff. What are we thinking?
I got my 2 cents on this, right? Okay, so, you've seen me dress at Pokemon events, Joe. You know exactly, I love those, the Pikachu varsity jacket, or, it's vinyl, but it's just good. It just looks good, I love that. What I'm hoping for is that they just have a high-quality leather jacket. Can you imagine, a real leather jacket, probably for, $300, $400, sure, why not? It's a leather jacket, I'll take it. Point is, if they had that with, who knows, maybe some kind of, Pikachu Worlds design in the back, I would freaking buy that in a heartbeat. Oh my goodness. But I love the Machamp. I love the varsity jackets. It is probably one of my favorite Worlds collections, right besides Yokohama. I loved Yokohama. That was such a good collection as well.
I loved, Yokohama. You had the Pikachu with the ramen, right? And then you had the three Scarlet Violet starters also with food. That was so cool. Yokohama was just gorgeous design and everything. I really like the Machamp. I think he's cool. Obviously, it's impressive. They made a shirt with 4 arms in it. It's a very custom leather jacket for Machamp here in Anaheim. I could do without Fennekin and Jigglypuff. I think I don't know. It's whatever. Fennekin's not even wear. It kind of looks like a life preserver on Fennekin. You put it on. It's not even a jacket. And
right. Well, Fennekin can't swim. Come on, it's a fire type baby. It needs the life support.
That's fair.
And Jigglypuff floats, so Jigglypuff doesn't need it, obviously. But yeah.
Yes, so I think those two are okay. I'm definitely going to pick up the Champ. I'm going to pick up Pikachu for sure. I might skip out on Fennekin and Jigglypuff. I do think, though, one of the big misses, I don't even know if they have the image, because you can see that's the icon of Worlds this year. Here he is. There's no Toad plush. He's on the World's image, but I would have bought. Could you imagine a functioning rollerblade Toad School plush that you can roll through, dude?
Okay, imagine if they have the roller blades you can buy, just the actual Okay, my favorite Pokemon merch, by the way. If anyone who works at TPCI or I don't know whoever does this merch, please just do more of these, more practical stuff. I just want to see more like the skateboard collection, little tiny ones. Oh, those were fire. Oh my good. Just stuff like that. Just stuff people can use on an everyday basis. Like, come on. The ramen bowls, those were so good. I love those.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, some of those teacups and stuff. Yeah, although I saw horse race, don't put your teacup in your you know, you have to be careful when you're cleaning it because some.
Oh
of them,
yeah, I've heard.
Got kind of messed up. But yeah, I think the world's theme this year is awesome. Anything is better than the last Anaheim, to be perfectly honest. Or Pikachu's holding like a coconut or something. Like it is not Anaheim themed whatsoever. Like miscellaneous, coconut. This is really cool. I'm excited to see I'm excited to see how the venue is because for you every time you go to Worlds, that first time when you walk in and you see all the banners and everything is all thematic and there's going to be cool cars and cool images and I remember Nashville, if you remember Nashville Worlds with all the country music and stuff, and you see Meloetta singing on stage and Mudbray looking like a cowboy and stuff, right? Like when I walked into that venue in Nashville, I was like, oh man, it feels like Worlds. It doesn't just feel like a regular event.
Speaking of which, sorry, I just gotta plug this. This is a 2016 collection. I love this lineup, by the way, Nats. 2016 Nats. I wish I bought more. I'm not gonna lie. That was my one regret. I actually wish I had more of these. I love this. It had all of the mythicals on it. Yeah. And it just looks so sick, and I absolutely love it. That was not even planned, by the way. I wore this to the gym today. Yeah, I haven't changed the gym. Anyways, point is, okay. But you gotta get the gains. Point is, I rocked this today, and then I got messaged to be on here. Of course, I'm like, okay, I gotta rep it now at this point. I can't change. What the heck? We're talking about Pokemon merch. This is one of my favorites. But,
Dude, yeah. Listen, we wear Pokemon all the time around here. I think pretty much my entire wardrobe is Pokemon at this point. But yeah, just wanted to show off the new merch, get some excitement for everything, because I know everybody's always excited, not just for what the world's Pikachu is going to be, but what the additional things. I'm sure there's going to be a skateboard, and there's going to be things maybe they'll have Vanillite ice cream or something at the venue, or snow cones or whatever. It'll be good. But let's get into the serious stuff, Brady. Let's get into the VGC, baby. All right, that's what we're here for.
That's what I'm here for.
All right, hey. So one of the events we've not actually had the chance to cover because there was just too much news going on post New Orleans and everything was the Japan National Championship. So since we have Brady here, an expert on the game, want to get your expert opinion on how that event went down and really what to expect going in, how Japanese metagames going to affect Worlds and everything. So I should be able to share this screen as well. Oh my God, I take for granted how many times that Sierra is able to just do this easily forward.
Yeah, I get that.
I just passed the princess through the through the podcast. Literally. All right, so here is our top 4. These are
no, that's not top 4. That's top 8. Scroll up a little bit.
Excuse me, top 8. Yep, thank you. Top 4, awesome. And it was it's a weird break, right? They went down to 4 players on the first day, and then there were 4 remaining for the finals or something like that. That's kind of a unique experience.
Yeah, the thing about Japan is that they always kind of do it different. They have, I don't know if this one was best of 1. I'm pretty sure it was. I don't know if it's an open team sheet though.
So the first round was closed team sheet best
there
of 1, or Swiss, I should say.
Can you guys imagine that, by the way?
Top 8 match. Can
you guys imagine that? How lucky we are as an NA circuit, or just TPCI circuit. It's we get to play best of 3 open team sheet. I know some people don't really like it, but it's that's the proper way to play the game, in my opinion. And right beside best of 1 open team sheet, love best of 1 open team sheet. But anyways, point is being able to have open team sheets is just so nice. And they even did it in top 4, but we don't, they don't have that. So it's just, they have to go through a whole different ballgame before they can even start to play the real game you get to play at Worlds, which is kudos to them. I could not do that. I'm being so for real. I don't know if I would be if I have any of the accolades I have, if I had to play the Japanese circuit. I'm just going to say that straight up. It seems really tough.
I'm right there with you. I think especially or particularly in Scarlet and Violet with terrestrialization, I think we would not have seen the boon that we have with the game's explosion this generation if we were still closed team sheet, because you'd have every person go to their first event and they would get just completely whacked by the side of the head from some random Terra grass or some random Terra bug or something like that they weren't expecting. So who knows, maybe in future generations, who knows if we need it, but certainly because of terrestrializing, we definitely needed to have that information here. And you can see like one of the main things, like, oh man, how do they adapt that metagame of a best of one closed team sheet compared to what we have? Well, Smeargle won the whole thing, and there's another Smeargle in top 3. So I think that's that kind of explains. Here's another Smeargle in top 8 as well. So I think that kind of might be the first thing we want to talk about here is the building for your event, right? And this event in particular is closed team sheet. So Smeargle can learn every move, right? So you're inherently at a better advantage against your opponent just by sitting down at the table because they do not know what 4 moves your Smeargle has.
Yeah, I really just want to talk about that. And there's some Pokemon you can infer. Like if you look at a Shadow Rider, it's going to have Astro Brush. You can infer that. That's one of the 4 moves knocked out right off the bat. As if it's Choice Specs, Life Orb, Setup, you can infer based on the team. But Smeargle, you can never be 100% confident because they can obviously tech on something like a Wide Guard or a Decorate, depending on the flavor of the month. And I really feel like the best teams were the ones that could function in both best of 1 and best of 3 open team sheet, which I really feel like we saw shine here, except for the one tiny outlier, Joe. I wonder if you can figure out that outlier from these top 4 lists. Which one do you think sticks out a little bit to you?
The one that I mean, Shohei's team is like a very conventional team. It might be irrelevant to what type of format you're playing the game in, right? Is that what you're referencing, or is it something else?
Very close. I'm going to give you a little tiny nudge. So, okay, 3 of these 4 teams are very standard from a type perspective. They have very clear synergies with their types, but one of them is a little bit unorthodox, having 3 of one specific type.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's think. Let's think here. Okay, so we have Ghost, Fight, Steel. No, it's not that.
Good.
It's not Shohei, right? Ghost, and then Electric. Okay. Now Haruki has Ice, Water, Normal. Oh, he's got 3 normal types. Haruki Sato has 3 normal types on his team. I didn't even realize it.
Job. Let's click that team sheet. I just want to just see this because this is like the only sauce we really got from this tournament. There's a little bit of extra sauce from a competitor's perspective, but come on. I mean, look at this. We have Assault Vest, Calyrex, Mental Herb for Ridgiraff. What moveset is that? Smeargle? Is that standard? Decorate?
I don't know why
me, fake out.
When Sierra shares hers, it changes but it doesn't for me.
Go to the far right. Click the columns button.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. You're a lifesaver.
You're welcome.
I know we got to zoom in to make this look better on camera. So
I feel that.
Hopefully the viewers can see this.
Go one tiny more. I think just one little tiny one will probably do it. One extra. Yes. Excellent. Perfect. Okay. So the Assault Vest Calyrex, obviously that's a bit unorthodox. The Smeargle is ironically one of the most orthodox picks on this team, which is the Smeargle, which is saying a lot about the team. But you have Imprison for Ridgiraff, you have a Choice Scarf Kyogre, you have a Wide Lens Population Bomb Mousehold, which has not seen any usage in this format, and of course a support Volcarona, which could be Quiver Dance. You don't know, you gotta guess. Point is, this is the one that made it through the gauntlet and made it to best of 3, and it did lose in top 4, but it made it all the way to top 4 is the main thing. So this was the sauciest team, I think.
So I just reading off because in my head here for this team, you're probably not bringing all 3 normal types in the same game, right? So even though they overlap on typing, it's not like they're performing different roles, right? And the thing that really stands out to me on here is you have 3 redirections. You have Follow Me Smeargle, Follow Me Mousehold, and Rage Powder Volcarona. So this is pretty much I need to make sure Calyrex and Kyogre never get targeted. So I'll bring my 2 restricteds and then I'll bring 2 Follow Me users.
Can you imagine a board where the opponent leads Calyrex Ice? It's best of 1, by the way, to give context. And you lead Calyrex Shadow thinking, hey, I can trade for a free Astral Barrage. I'm going to pin that thing down with a Surging Strikes plus an Astral Barrage. It Terra Grasses, takes nothing from Astral, nothing from Surging, and then just crunches your Shadow Rider, getting the OHKO turn 1 and getting a boost at the end of the turn. Oh my goodness. That just sounds so cheesy. But I mean, it worked. It destroyed best of 1 and got all the way to the best of 3 stage. So I just think that's just sick. This team is just this is saucy. This is just no one would expect what these sets are. And in best of 1, it was crazy. It obviously fell apart in best of 3, but it made it through the first best of 3 stage, which was top 8. So that should be noted. That's kind of interesting.
like obviously the big player is Smeargle. I think we can all see from where it started this format to NAIC to that Ashton and Bruno team where there was like 7 players that made day 2 with that Smeargle team into now here at Japan Nat Smeargle, 3 of them in top 8. I think that's probably the big player going into Worlds, like to expect a big performance out of. Do you think Farigiraf is going to have a big resurgence like it did last year at Worlds, where it was like I think the 5th or 6th most used Pokemon in the tournament?
Okay, so I was actually talking to a student about something similar to this. So this was going into Nats. Shout out Maxime. He's a new player. Anyways, I was coaching him, right? And he was just like talking to me about the phase of Grimmsnarl. So it started out with Grimmsnarl in our heads. So we're like, okay, Grimmsnarl, obviously at the time it won Stockholm Regionals from Michael Kelch, and it had a few other results. It won Milwaukee with Andrew Ding, and Grimmsnarl was looking like the Pokemon to beat. Well, guess what beats Grimmsnarl? Fake out cycling. So you have Incin, you have Rilla, you keep on cycling it, and then Grimmsnarl is suddenly not nearly as good as it could be because it's getting stunned every other turn. Now, the thing is, whenever you're looking at the current state of the meta, we have the next logical choice, which is Farigiraf, because Farigiraf technically counters that fake out cycle deck or basically what the Incin Rilla looks to do is keep you in this blender of fake outs. Farigiraf stops that inherent ability, I guess, or either way, it slows it down. It stops it from doing what it wants to do. So then there's another piece, which I was missing this pre-Nats, but now post-Nats and after Japan Nats, I can acknowledge this. Smeargle is the next phase in the metagame because technically it beats Farigiraf. Now, Farigiraf didn't really see much upsurge, but Smeargle on these Incin Rilla teams has had a lot of success. And sometimes they drop the Incin or sometimes they drop the Rilla depending on the exact build they have. But the point is, I feel like Smeargle is just it's an open canvas because literally the artist Pokemon. Right. But point is, it can do so many things, and I feel like it's the perfect piece in a restricted metagame because your pieces need to enable your restricteds, which Smeargle does a great job at that. So going forward, is Smeargle here to stay? I would say yes. Do I think there is very available counterplay? I do. I think certain things can have taunts, such as Ogerpon. That's a very good way to beat Smeargle. Taunt Ogerpon's great because you can follow me away the Spore and the Decorate. And in addition to that, you can maybe go with Urshifu because you can outspeed it and Surging Strikes it. There is definitely legitimate counterplay. I feel like Smeargle is a little bit gimmicky. I feel like it's good. It can probably have a top 4, maybe a finals appearance. Do I see it winning the whole thing? Maybe not, because I feel like it's a bit linear, and once top players start to exploit it and they figure out how to do it, I think they can. I do think for some reason the Kyogre has picked up a lot. Even at NAIC, it was also like a kind of a good offensive core here where sure, they don't have 135 speed like all these other massive or 150 speed like all these other big restricteds, but like if you keep them safe, which 3 redirection Pokemon can keep Calyrex and Kyogre safe, like they can do massive damage. Yeah. Also, really quickly, like I gotta say, sorry if you hear any barking.
That's okay. My dogs. We love dogs. We love dogs.
I love dogs. So fun fact. Sorry, this little. Don't mean to hijack. I'll just quick story about these two boys right here. So I have Callum, who he's my Mr. Dog. I've had him for like a while. I love Callum. But this right here is Raggy. He is a Labrador mix, and he is such a good boy. We got him from a family friend who basically they moved to Australia and they could not get him over there. So we're watching over him for a few years, but this dog is absolutely amazing. And he's teaching my boy Callum how to behave amongst other dogs because Callum's a little bit spoiled. But anyways, that's a little dog, dog derailing. I love my dogs. But the question, so I don't think you actually asked the question. I think it was, Calyrex. Wait, sorry. Say again, like you said, enabling Pokemon.
How Kyogre and Calyrex Ice Rider are going to do together because they've been on the come up as a duo.
Okay. So I actually am not the biggest fan of Kyogre and Calyrex. The reason why is because I believe there's 2 phases in the meta, and you can see this from tournament results. I think this showed last year, and I'm realizing the pattern now because it took a year for me to fail at Worlds to realize this. And, knock on wood, I hope this helps me at Worlds, but now I'm going to spill some of the sauce. Basically, I think Miraidon and Shadow Rider. You got to pick one of those two as your restricted. The reason why is because it's just been proven. Every single top cut has had multiple of those, and I think having one of those in your team gives you the highest odds of success. Now, we've seen Miraidon in the sense of just OHKOing everything with Electro Drift or the Scarf sets that have been picking up on the Calyrex Ice variants. Point is, Miraidon as an individual Pokemon is simply unstoppable. It just gets KO after KO. Now, as for Shadow Rider, it's basically a Miraidon, but on a different vertical. So where Miraidon looks to nuke stuff with single target Electro Drifts or Draco Meteors, Shadow Rider looks to sweep the entire team with Astral Barrages strategically allocated to get KOs every single turn. Now, I feel like having those two win conditions are very simple, straightforward, and oppressive. And I feel like by not opting into one of those, you're really holding yourself back. So that's my personal read. One, if not both of those two, will definitely be winning Worlds.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see what else has been cooking here. We can take at the Japan Nats winner, Yuma Kinagawa. Congratulations to Yuma for coming home with the title. Obviously, there is a pressure when it comes to the Japan Nats winner when it comes to Worlds every year, right? No pressure, but also kind of a lot of pressure. Yuma, as many Japanese world champions also won Japan Nats the same year. Yep. So we look at his team a lot more conventional of a team, especially with the Calyrex, the CSR Zamazenta restricted duo, Rillaboom, Raging Bolt, who I love. I think Raging Bolt's fantastic. It's way better than a budget Miraidon. Like, I know it's the same typing or whatever, but a lot of people just use, I can't use Miraidon, so I'll use Raging Bolt because I already have two restricted. Smeargle we talked about, and then Tornadus not being on a Kyogre team, not being on an Urshifu team, just showing up here to help out a already like really fast team. If you look at it, Calyrex, Shadow, Zamazenta, very fast Pokemon. Rillaboom has an automatic priority. Raging Bolt already has priority too, so Tornadus is trying to make this fast team even faster.
Okay, so I have a lot to talk about with this team. This team is like really, really good. I've played it a lot from my experience, and it's also had consistent showings in Top Cut at multiple tournaments. Now, here is the general build. The Calyrex on most builds is actually not max speed, believe it or not. They go, I believe it's 140 timid or maybe 180 timid, whatever outspeeds Miraidon by +1. And the reason why is because they have a Smeargle, they have Wide Guard, they have two priority Pokemon, being the Rillaboom and the Thunderclap, Raging Bolt, and obviously the Tornadus for speed control. Now, do I think that'll be the case going to Worlds? No, because it's a mirror match if you play this team, because a lot of people are going to be playing it. I think that max speed Calyrex will probably be the next logical shift. But this team has so many different modes, and this team is here to stay. It is not going anywhere for Worlds. I can promise you that, Joe. I can absolutely promise you that. The reason why is because there is just so much fluid gameplay you can have with this. You can lead Smeargle plus quite literally anything and threaten a Decorate to the side on the ally, because Smeargle is faster than 4 members on this team, everything besides the Zamazenta. Now, Zamazenta is the only piece that outspeeds Smeargle. Sorry, Shadow Rider as well. Should probably also acknowledge that. I got a little bit too far ahead of myself. Point is, you have Raging Bolt, Rillaboom, and Tornadus. They all get outsped by Smeargle, meaning you can side decorate. So you can lead with Raging Bolt and Smeargle, side decorate, and then go for a Terra Electric Thunderbolt, OHKO, Calyrex, Ice. Or maybe you could go with the Tornadus, you can Bleak Wind Storm and Spore the next turn decorate. There's so many things you can do, not to mention if you get a speed boost on the Smeargle, you can just run away with the game with Shadow Rider, just turn 1. That's gambling, but you can force that. It's not even gambling. You click Fake Out, you get it, you're like, oh, cool, that's convenient, I guess, and just click it, it just happens sometimes. Point is, this team has everything. It has ways to force wins you have no business winning, and it has very sturdy win conditions, being the Zamazenta Calyrex. Simply chip them down with body presses, get them in range of Astral Barrage, and you're good. And fuse that together with a solid opener with the Smeargle, you have a masterpiece of a team. So this, in my opinion, is not going anywhere. I would very much say it's here to stay.
So how often, I guess, for this team, and especially with CSR Zamazenta in general, because this is where I struggle when I've tried to use Calyrex Shadow Rider, is when do I just lead in, click Astral Barrage, and try to get early or curly KO, and then when do I bring it in the middle, like, or wait till it's the last Pokemon and wait till they have no switches, and then I can click it. Like, it seems like, especially without a Focus Sash, which is the way I've been playing it, just for that extra safety and of losing a speed tie or anything. Like, that's where I struggle. So if I, asking Coach Brady, my struggles with Calyrex Shadow Rider, like when I should lead it, particularly on this team, versus when I should save it for the back, like that's where I'm struggling with the Pokemon.
Okay, so if you lead with Shadow Rider, it needs a buffer. So a buffer is something that can keep it protected or at least force some kind of protection from it. So turn 1, this might look like a Raging Bolt going for a Thunderclap plus an Astral Barrage pin, ensuring you get a knockout on the threat, and then keeping the one Pokemon that can't really deal with Calyrex alive. Because it can't deal with it, you can keep it alive, it's fine. Point is, every time Calyrex attacks, it needs a KO. So if you don't have a buffer to protect it in some way, shape, or form, if that's Wide Guard, if it's Follow Me, Fake Out, Decorate, Protect, Spore, Smeargle is one of the best buffers for that. It's really hard to execute your game plan. But if you can cook in a buffer into your lead, it can make Shadow Rider much more potent. Incineroar is one of the best buffers, by the way. That's why Incineroar plus Shadow Rider is a very common lead, because you can set up a Fake Out Nasty Plot line, you can Parting Shot Protect, go into Ogre Pond, and you can Follow Me. There's so many opportunities you can create with that. The point is trying to create an abundance of turn 1 options where Shadow Rider is not OHKO turn 1. That is how you lead with Shadow Rider. As for having it in the back, all you got to do is just set up that right moment to go into it. Is it your very last Pokemon you go into, or is it the mid game? Do you lead with Smeargle, Zamazenta, try to Fake Out plus Body Press, the left slot, body press the right slot, get them both in the range of Astral Barrage, then go into Shadow Rider, click Astral Barrage, get +2, hard swap into Tornadus, get Tailwind Astral Barrage. The point is, get a little bit creative with it. If you're leading with it, it's supposed to be protected with a buffer. Otherwise, try to have it in the back and look for free opportunities to switch it in. Either it's losing a Pokemon or pivoting into it.
Okay, that is actually very helpful. That's why they pay you the big bucks as the coach for you.
right.
I definitely feel it better. And this team in particular, even though obviously Calyrex is its biggest enemy is itself as the 4 times weak to Ghost, this team seems like it can deal pretty well with opposing CSRs, because a CSR Smeargle lead, they're both immune to Astral Barrage, or when you Smeargle's immune, and then you have Terra Dark is what I meant to say, so you can resist the opposing Astral Barrage. You also have Wide Guard on the Zamazenta, so it's almost like you have Raging Bolt as your pseudo Miraidon for that matchup. Hit their Miraidon with a Draco Meteor once Tornadus sets a Tailwind up. It seems like this team, compared to other versions of CSR Zamazenta that we've heard throughout this format, they're like really tough to play the mirror. This team might seem like it might have a better advantageous position into the mirror.
Yeah, no, it's the Smeargle. It really comes down to the Smeargle, because the opponent can have an Ogre Pond, which is good counterplay for Smeargle, but Ogre Pond hard loses to Shadow Rider, unless you Grassy Glide. I guess you can Grassy Glide it, sure, you can Grassy Glide it, but generally, Ogre Pond loses to Shadow Rider, because if you get up one Nasty Plot, it's in check for the rest of the game. So, leveraging your Shadow Rider, plus the pressure of Wide Guard with Zamazenta, Tailwind from Tornadus, and Smeargle, which is completely immune to Astral Barrage, makes the mirror much simpler.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty exciting team. I'm excited to see how it does at Worlds. Congratulations to Yuma and their journey to win Worlds. Speaking of a world champion, we do have Shohei Kimura, the very one in share this tab. I'm learning it. Okay, cool. Already switched just like that. Over to our next tab.
That was smooth, Joe. Very smooth.
Thank you. Using the Miraidon and Lunala core that we saw picking up in popularity, I believe that was also Andrew Ding and the crew winning in Milwaukee with that restricted duo, as well as the Ursaluna on the team here. So nothing too crazy to write home about, right? Like nothing that's too out of the world here. It's a choice band Urshifu instead of Mystic Water or Scarf or anything like that. But I guess the only big thing is the Whimsicott maybe is a Pokemon that fluctuates in popularity.
So the Whimsicott, I was about to say something about that. If you notice, it's calm. A majority of Whimsicott opt to go Timid because it is its highest base stat, so you get a very high return on investment by going the Timid 10% buff in speed, and you typically want to go a lot of speed. But this tells me that Shohei, instead of opting for a lot of speed, probably opted for a lot of defense, probably defense slash BDF. And by going calm, it probably lives, maybe, who knows, maybe it's a Miraidon Electro Drift or something like that. I don't know. Point is, it's a very different take on a traditionally proven Pokemon that has gone timid, and it's really cool to see these different adjustments. And not to mention, Incineroar is actually adamant, which I know a lot of them have opted to go Jolly recently because you're able to outspeed Rillaboom, ensuring that you can get the one-hit knockout with a Flare Blitz, or you can go for a U-turn to threaten it and just kill it, enabling your Urshifu and or Miraidon on the back to do business, essentially. But like you said, nothing too saucy about this team. It's just here to stay. It's going to top 8 worlds. I can put a bunch of money on that. It could win the whole thing. I could definitely see this team winning. But it's just a proven team. It won NAIC, almost won Japan Nats, and it came from Milwaukee with just a slight adjustment being the Grimmsnarl, which now has gotten favor shifted in favor of the Whimsicott.
Yeah, and we, when we talked to Andrew after winning, we talked about the Urshifu, and we never saw and from the whole crew that played in Milwaukee, every one of them on stream, none of them ever brought Urshifu. But in Milwaukee, really? I think the stats, it was like 55% usage was the Urshifu Rapid Strike in the field, right? And so, what is Urshifu's role in this format, Brady? Is it a counter Pokemon? Do you have a 5-mon core? Does Shohei have a 5-mon core and then he only brings Urshifu out in 30% of the matchups? Because this is just not the role that we're used to seeing Urshifu being.
Okay, so Urshifu at the end of the day is always going to be a sweeper. If it's not getting a KO, it's not doing its job. It needs to either be angled to survive the turn guaranteed and get some consistent damage output because it's a wall breaker. It does a lot of damage. Or it's supposed to get a KO, protecting it from getting KO'd in return. Those are the only two things Urshifu should be doing. Now, this choice band Urshifu, I really like that set because it allows Urshifu to do that job with ease. Now, on Andrew's team, there was a Grimmsnarl, which Grimmsnarl can Thunder Wave the opponent, but usually you're clicking a screen and trading it for a screen in most games, meaning you're not able to get off some key Thunder Waves. Furthermore, meaning that your Urshifu Choice Bandit is not as useful as it could be if it was potentially Scarf. Now, Banded on this team in particular, my hypothesis is that it picked up in usage. The reason why is because Tailwind Urshifu is a proven concept all the way back from Reg C. I think it was Reg E. The point is Urshifu is here to stay, and he's not going anywhere. As long as he's able to get into a board where he can get a clear knockout in one turn, he is golden. And I feel like Whimsicott gives him exactly that, which is speed, allowing him to push his objective, which is getting KOs on threats such as Shadow Rider. So as long as you can outspeed the Shadow Rider or live its Astral Barrage, Urshifu, I think, is still going to be an absolute meta threat.
Okay, yeah, I can see the value of the choice band, especially with how hard it hits. The other thing is you can't, with the Grimmsnarl, as you were mentioning, you go for Thunder Wave and then you hit them with the choice band. Now you're faster, but if they protect, sure, the Surging Sparks or Surging Strikes, excuse me, I got TCG on the brain. Surging Strikes will go through the protect, but the Thunder Wave won't. And then you might get knocked out because you didn't set up a screen. So I think maybe there's just too much of difficult mind games with Grimmsnarl there, where Whimsicott always been a great Miraidon partner since these restricted came out. We've seen it on so many of these Miraidon teams here. So congrats to Shohei. Best of luck at Worlds. And I'll be rooting for him. I love Shohei. Let's talk about our other top 4 finisher here. Haruki Sato. Congratulations. Oh, no, excuse me. Ayumu Iwasaki. I apologize, Ayumu, if I said that wrong. Let's switch over here. This is our 4th top 4 player. And Zacian made the cut. Is this best of 1 Japan Nats situation, Brady, or is this legit?
Okay, so this is the team that I think is legit. And the reason why is because it's number 1, Zacian Shadow Rider won Worlds in 2022, so it's not too foreign. Now, has it gotten power crept? I think so, a little bit, since the introduction of Miraidon. That being said, Zacian is one of the best counters to Miraidon in the game, so I think if you stack a counter to Miraidon, Shadow Rider, I don't think you can ever really have a bad team, and I think the win conditions are very simple with this team. Execute an Urshifu sweep, execute a Landorus sweep, execute a Zacian sweep, or execute a Shadow Rider sweep. It's just one of those. You got 2 glue Pokemon. You have the Tornadus to enable the Urshifu to get sweeps with Rain Dance that can help him to Koraidon. You have Tailwind to make it fast. And you obviously have the AV Incin, which AV Incin has been picking up in popularity. And that's another thing I really wanted to talk about is I think that players are starting to realize just how bad Safety Goggles Incin is. Now, Safety Goggles Incin is a necessary pick to deal with Amoonguss. I do think it's one of the best Amoonguss counters in the game, and it really amplifies Incineroar into becoming a true Amoonguss check. Now, if you have an Ogerpon Hearth Flame on your team, you have a very fair matchup into Amoonguss, actually, because you have redirection with a grass typing, allowing you to redirect away spores, not to mention your Ivy Cudgel can hit Amoonguss for super effective damage. So by having Ogerpon as a new tool, slash Miraidon, because Miraidon has Electric Terrain, which stops Spore, opens up a possibility for Incineroar to start going Assault Vest. Now, on this team in particular, this does not have any of the above. It does not have a Miraidon, nor does it have an Ogerpon. So I am wondering how he got away with this. It has to be because he has Substitute on Landorus, he has Encore Disable on the Shadow Rider, and Taunt on Urshifu. It needs to be because there's so many resources, there's some combination of way to deal with the Amoonguss, but either way, AV Incin I think is great. I think this team is great, and I think this could get a top 16, top 32 showing at Worlds for sure.
Yeah, I think this is actually really exciting the more I'm looking at the team. And I know even back from Regulation G, we were working with our community to build a Zacian team. Back when you only had 1 restricted, so it was even more detrimental without the help of a second restricted on the team. And it was always just a great Miraidon counter. You're already immune to Draco Meteor, and we would use Terra Ground at that point to be immune to the Electro Drift. And they have Sacred Sword on this spot. So maybe they lucked out that Smeargle is picked up in such popularity that they naturally ended up having a pretty good answer into all of these Smeargle teams. And then you mentioned the Landorus as another Miraidon counter. So this seems like a team that has a lot of potential, could go very far. However, it doesn't look like there's much wiggle room in my opinion, right? You don't have the Safety Goggles. You literally only have Astro Barrage. So if you have a Wide Guard or a normal type on the other end, Calyrex can't do anything until you Encore Disable it, obviously. So just up front, you're in a tough spot. You got to make sure you substitute at the right time on Landers. I think this is a very high skill ceiling team here that I would not recommend anybody try to just pick up and play.
Yeah, but I mean, it looks fun though. It looks like a lot of fun. I would love this team. Yeah.
No, absolutely, it does look a lot of fun. Let's see if there's
one more thing I will say on that team, by the way. If you guys do practice that team, this team could be good for learning fundamentals, just positioning, because every game you're going to play looks like it's probably going to be on hard mode. Not a good team to master, but you can learn a lot from just going through the gauntlet and just trying to force yourself to execute an Urshifu sweep or force yourself to properly utilize AV Incin, etc. You can learn a lot from playing this team, but it looks like really hard to pilot. So if you lose a bunch, don't hate yourself. Maybe switch teams, but you can learn a lot from playing it if you're looking to improve. So not going to knock it off too quick. That's all.
That's fair. I think there's another one. Chiharu Yasukawa. We got to talk about a Bruxish, baby.
Oh my goodness.
This beautiful Pokemon that everybody knows and loves. Choice Scarf, Dazzling Bruxish, Terra Normal, Timid, Surf, Super Fang, Icy Wind, Flip Turn. Brady, what on earth is going on here?
Okay, so Bruxish, in best of 1, it's really good. In best of 1,
because Shadow Rider also.
Right, your opponent is just in their head, they're like, what is going on? And they have absolutely no idea. And I also have absolutely no idea because I'm trying to piece this together. I am looking through this right now to find out ways you could proc
it's got
your weakness policy by clicking Surf on Bruxish with your Choice Scarf. Oh my goodness, you Terrafire turn 1, lead Bruxish, click Surf and Astral Barrage. Wait, why is that Astral Barrage? Why is that Calyrex Jolly Natured?
It must be a mistake. They must have meant timid.
Okay.
It's
It
gotta
needs to be timid. Please, I hope it's timid. But anyways, this looks insane. It's got to be for that cheese turn 1. Bruxish is just literally Serena, but just a water psychic type Serena. So it's just a little bit more unorthodox. You combine that with Indeedee, and you just have a lot of ways to block priority. You have Grimmsnarl for just Thunderwave early game support. You can fake tears. You can water spout. You can lead with Indeedee, Kyogre, click water spout, follow me. This looks like a best of 1 team. I'm going to be so for real. This looks like such a best of 1 team.
There's no tailwind for this Choice Specs Kyogre or the Urshifu either to outspeed everything. Like, you just hope you got to rely on the Thunder Wave on Grimmsnarl there, or the Icy Wind, I guess.
This is like one of those things where in best of 1, if I were to lead Shadow Rider, I'd be like, okay, I'll click Astral Barrage because I know I can't live a Spout, so I'll damage this Kyogre. But I can live an Origin Pulse if it's Mystic Water. And then just OHKOs me with the Origin Pulse. I'm like, wait, what? Is that Specs? And yeah, it would be Specs. Yeah, exactly.
And like Bruxish, the few times that we have seen it, it's been like a Trick Room, anti-priority Pokemon. It's not been a Choice Scarf, weakness policy, self-proc, surf flip turn thing. So this team is just, this is why we all tune into Japan Nats every year, Brady.
I just realized this, Joe. What the strategy is not to click Surf. It's to flip turn your own Shadow Rider, go into Indeedee, and click Expanding Force. That's what it is. Oh my goodness, that's kind of saucy. Yo, that's crazy.
That's lats. This is like, hey, listen, it got top 8.
True.
There was a Groudon Tomoki Kinoshita. We can take a look real quick here on his, because we want to get into the coaching aspect of things. So we'll wrap up here on Groudon on this team. Clear Amulet instead of Assault Vest or something else like that. I guess Groudon's not a fire type, although every time in my head, because of the primal, I will always think of it as a fire type. But Incineroar, Volcarona. Chien-Pao also, who seems to be light representation in this top 8, however, has been very much a bigger factor the last couple of events here in the West.
This one looks very... Okay, so...
Roar.
Number 1... Yeah, so... There's obviously the Groudon with Miraidon. That's I'm assuming the start of the duo, right? Is because you can click Parabolic Charge next to your Groudon, and it doesn't damage him, but it damages both the allies. Combine that with Precipice Blade, seems cool. But then I kind of get a little bit lost. I cannot even lie to you, Joe. I see there is a Will-O-Wisp on that Groudon. I'm like, that's got to be for something. It's got to be like, in my eyes, it's best of 1 because, right, you land a Will-O-Wisp on Zamazenta, they're like, oh, you got me. It's best of 1.
Right? Because it's Terra Water, so you Terra Water burn
genius.
It. Yeah.
Right, because you can Volt Switch the ally, Will-O-Wisp them, and if they Terra Fire, you can Precipice Blades them. I see the vision now. Okay. Look at that. You have like eyes for this. You have the vision on. I gotta process this. This is crazy. The Roar Ensign, that's gotta, by the way, no knockoff. Instead of just, you know what, who needs a knockoff? Let's go Roar instead. Because if that Nasty Plot is going to be Terra Darking anyways, you're never going to get off a knockoff. Might as well roar it out, right? It's like, that makes so much more sense. But yeah, like that, like the Chien-Pao, like, wow, like it is a Volcarona setup team, which it's got to be like a lead Miraidon, Volcarona, click like Electro Drift, Quiver Dance, Volt Switch out into Groudon, get Sun active, go for a Fiery Dance, get an OHKO, and then snowball from there. If I were to guess, it's a Sun team. You have 2 fire types, you have a Groudon. It's just a Sun team at the end of the day, I think. And I think the Grimmsnarl is probably just there for like an anchoring up against Kyogre teams. So you can go with like AV Miraidon plus Light Screen to really screw with Kyogre's damage calcs. And just like, it's if I were to guess, it probably works by leading Volcarona and Miraidon, having Groudon Pow in the back. That's probably the default, and then probably have adjustments with the Instant Grimmsnarl. Yeah.
Yeah, this is spicy. This is what we love. The Chien-Pao is just in such a weird spot to me, as it's usually like, sure, it helps Groudon, helps Incineroar here, but usually Chien-Pao is with like Urshifu, Zamazenta, Rillaboom, right? Like just classic physical attackers that you just want to help. That they need that extra little hurdle. And I guess, hey, Groudon, he's not primal anymore. Maybe Groudon does need that extra little push that Sword of Ruin provides.
Maybe. Yeah. I miss Primal Groudon. I really do. If Primal Groudon was legal, we'd have so much fun this format. That's all I'm going to say.
No, because if Primal Groudon was legal, we'd also have Terraghost Xerneas.
Oh, yes.
So
or Terra Fairy Specs. Or Terra Fairy Specs. All I'm going to say, I'm just going to say that. That'd be fire.
You're giving up Geomancy, bro?
I mean, Moonblast probably OHKO's opposing Xerneas with the specs. Like, oh my goodness, like that's you get beats a Ruin up in there. Come on, who needs a
I don't want.
Geomancy?
Oh my god, dude! Beat Terra Fairy short specs, beats of ruin. Jesus, no. Why are we? I don't even want to talk about this, Brady. I don't even want to. Let's talk about you instead. So we talked about Japan Nats. We talked about Worlds and everything like that. Let's talk about you, the coach, the man, the myth, the legend, yourself. You do a lot of VGC coaching, and we actually have a lot of young is the wrong word because of all ages, but newer competitive players in our community that are always asking questions, always active, asking, what should I do? What resource should I do this? I'm trying to learn. And I think like the big question to you as a coach is like, what are you really seeking out from students that want to learn? Like, is it ever like, you sit there and you're like, all right, this guy doesn't want it enough. Like, I'm just sitting there and I can tell he just wants a quick track to win, right? Like he doesn't want to actually learn to get better. He just wants to like not do the process. Or is it usually the students that you get through, they are, they're able to listen well, they're able to learn, and they do slowly show gradual progress? Like what's the usual student you deal with?
Good question. So in my brand in particular, I kind of picked it out, and I kind of just like the way I do my marketing for my coaching is very just real to my heart, which is just hey, here's how it is. It's like you don't have to love it, you don't have to like it, in which case keep scrolling. It's like some people are just more they have more desire / ambition and the ability to learn at a very high rate. Those are people I've had the highest success rates with. The people that know this is where they need to go, and it's like something greater than themselves. Like for me, like I don't know why, I just kind of happened to fall in this game, and it's just branched into something more than I ever thought was possible from just a video game. And those are the kind of people I work best with, where they kind of have that extra drive. Now, the biggest question I get as a coach, most common than not, is how do you actually improve at the game? And the number one thing I would say is you just need to learn how to take beatings, because you're going to get spanked and absolutely slapped around silly until one day it just clicks. And just trust in that process, that through reps you will inevitably get there because you're putting in the work. Your subconscious will pick up on the work you put in, and at the start it might take more conscious effort in actually playing, but as you get better and improve, it becomes like a subconscious process in the back of your head, and you just have to trust in that process. And once you get there, then your conscious effort can be put into optimizations of practice. It can be put into time optimizations. It can be furthermore put into networking, meeting other people who may connect a few pieces for you that you never really had connected in the past. But the point is, I want everyone to kind of get to that proficiency level, and that's what I am on the quest to do right now with my brand. I'm currently doing that through Twitter, and I have a few freebies as well on my Twitter if you want to check that out, guys, in the description. I don't know if it'll be in here, or just follow me on Twitter. I'm sure I'll make announcements about that.
It'll be in the description. Yeah.
Thank you. But point is, whenever you realize that's the mindset you need, is that you're going to get smacked around senseless, and just determination of just simply not giving up from that. That's the mindset you need, and just trust in the process, just day by day, keep on working at it. And the thing is, a lot of people, like, it doesn't really, it's not everyone's supposed to be a Pokemon player. And it's just like, that's especially not like a top like 0.1 percentage. And that's because it's top 0.1 percentage. If everyone's top 0.1 percentage, no one would be the top, it's just like, and this isn't a job for most people. It's really not. I feel like most of the like professional parts of it is usually through other means, aka like YouTube, or in your case, Joe, you obviously help with the commentary team, getting more involved with it. But the point is, it's all through this fundamental understanding of the game. So if you feel like this is your next kind of like step where you want to kind of walk into the Pokemon sphere, just start watching some YouTubers. Follow me on Twitter. Start watching like Cybertron. I'm sure you already watch Wolfie if you're watching this. That's the majority of Pokemon players, right? Everyone knows Wolfie at this point. He's like the talk of the freaking like town. It's crazy. But anyways, just to wrap up everything in just a simple few sentences, if you're trying to improve, just embrace the process of sucking, and just have faith that eventually you'll start getting better through more reps, and then it'll become easier as you go onwards.
Yeah, and I think that's an important area of like learning how to lose and to be completely candid, like that is where I struggle in this game. And like from when I started back in playing in regionals and locals and stuff in 2014 to now, like I've talked, I don't know, maybe it's a mental hurdle. I know there are other competitive players that have this issue, and I'm sure you have students that have this issue, that like losing hurts way more than winning feels good. And I'm sure
Yes.
you've heard that phrase. And I'm not alone in the Pokemon sphere with that mentality, but like when I win a game and I feel good, like it's like the sense of relief, like, okay, cool, I did what I was supposed to. My team is good. I did the right thing. And then when I lose a game, I'm slurring. I'm throwing expletives out. I want to leave. I'm the worst. I hate my life. Why did I ever join this? You know, like just like I have and I own it. I have a completely borked mental when it comes to playing this game at the high level. So that is why I knew so early on, after, you know, in my VGC playing career, to pivot over to commentary, because I love the game so much and I love the community and I love everything that competitive Pokemon has at the highest level. It's such a fantastic game that I wanted to focus on highlighting that instead of ramming my head into a wall because I lost, you know, I got crit or something like that. So like for other players out there, that I'm not alone, how do you deal with that mentality as a coach if your student comes to you and says losing hurts way more than winning feels good?
Okay, so I'm gonna be so for real. That's the competitive spirit right there. That's what it takes to be a competitor. But like my drive, like it's like I've started to realize this. Like my drive has started to source more from me actually wanting to win and fantasizing that, into just hating the feeling of losing so much that I'm willing to work my butt off to make sure that doesn't happen. And it sucks, you know, it really does. Like, and especially like whenever I've been doing like mindless practice, because like my recent routine has been like I work on the business, I go to the gym, I have to take care of my dogs, I'm applying to part-time jobs because, you know, extra income, you know, you can't really go wrong with that. But the point is, like, you know, I'm busy in my day-to-day and I'm still trying to figure out how to squeeze in Pokemon into my day-to-day, because, you know, everyone thinks that, oh, you're a Pokemon coach. Like, I'm sure that's what you spend your time doing. You got to play Pokemon. Yes, to a level. I got to be proficient at my craft. I need to be good at the game. I need to be able to go toe-to-toe with people. But there's so much more involved with that, especially with competing and competition. The point is, every time that you play this game, the one message I just got to send to everyone who has that same kind of problem set is just make sure you're playing with intention. There's no way to work around that feeling of hating losing. Just embrace it. And your intention is not to enjoy it more, it's to refine your craft and separate that feeling of loss from the feeling of progression. In tournaments, yeah, I feel it all the time. Whenever I lose, I feel like absolute dog water, and I knock off. You know, it is what it is. It's like, okay, another flop, whatever. Just come back stronger next time. But during practice, I love the process, and that's what I'm trying to transition into at tournaments, is loving the process. But competing is just, it takes so much out of you. It's so sweaty, it's so toxic, and that's just competition. I think it brings out the worst in humanity, but in a way, it kind of brings out the best. You know, it's like pressure makes diamonds kind of thing, and you can meet some really cool people from the high performers. And you know, everyone has their own struggles. Like I said, not everyone's supposed to be a top 0.1%, but if you're looking for that one breakout, I think anyone can do good at this game with enough work and with enough preparation. But you got to have the motive. It's not just about winning, it's about just being the best. It's not about just winning the tournament. It's about literally, without question, your prep routine was the best, your team was the best, your play was the best. Everything just fell into your hands because you knew it. And that's, you know, like I know that wasn't really what you're looking for. It's kind of anticlimactic, right? It was just full swap. Like that's how it is. Does
but
that
that's
kind
what a
of
coach does. You're supposed to tell me how it is, not what I want to hear, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, that is very true.
So, but one thing you talked about was like intention, right? And like what you're trying to get. And I think I would imagine, you know, different students have different things you're trying to get, right? And depending on your student, right, you could have a parent who their 12-year-old is getting into the game and they want to have, you know, give them a leg up and help them on their journey to become a competitive Pokemon player, versus a kid who's 19 in college, has literally nothing else to do and has all the time in the world to sit on Showdown for 14 hours a day to get good at the game, compared to that 12-year-old who's got, you know, still in school and everything, compared to a 29-year-old who comes to you for coaching advice. They're playing in a regional, they're playing at Pittsburgh and it's their first regional, and they've followed Pokemon for a long time and they want to know, you know, they want to just go 4-4. They're not trying to win the event. Their hope is to go 4-4 or better, right? And I think, like, how did your coaching adapt to your students' I guess mentalities, or whatever milestones that they're trying to achieve?
So that's a really, actually, very good question. First of all, I gotta say the best coach in the business for juniors is Joe UX9. He is insane at juniors and seniors. I do not click with the juniors and seniors. Even I thought I would because I came from seniors. I used to get it, but as I've gotten older, I just kind of realized I just get along better with older people. I don't know why it is, but that's just who I currently get along well with. That's who I can serve the best. So what my personal target audience is people who do not have the time, like a 19-year-old who can play this game all the time. What my goal is to do is just work with them to help with helping them establish a routine or just something consistent where you're not playing every single day, but you're at least just getting the ball rolling to where you can consistently be ready for regionals. Now, 2 weeks down the line, you better be playing every day. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get there. You know, it's like, but before then, like it's just about, okay, we got to get it consistently going, whatever works for your schedule. So that's what I've had the most success with is with clients who are more committed from a aspect outside of time where they are limited by time, but that's not going to stop them. You know, they're willing to work past that and work within their constraints. Now, how I help them out with that is by giving them accountability. And I also work with them in establishing some kind of routine that works with their schedule. So in other words, what this looks like is, let's just say if you and I were to work together, Jill, like what I would do is like, you'd be like, okay, I got regionals coming up right then. I would make sure you have a good team. I would make sure you have a prep document. I would make sure that you are currently feeling good and you can at least go 50-50 with me. That's the goal. So if you can go half and half with me, you can beat half of good players. I can tell you that, you know, for certain. But the point is, I feel like just getting them to consistently play as what has worked the best for me. Now, how I'm doing this, I have different tiers. Now, if you go ahead and get my day 2 accelerator package, which is on my profile, it's completely free, by the way. It's literally just it's just how to get day 2. It's just a mentality. At the very end, I have a call to action, which is that you can theoretically go through my thing or you can do it by yourself. You know, that's totally up to you. But the point is I have an offer laid out. You can get the specifics there. But what I'm doing is trying to establish structure into the scene. So how I'm doing this is by offering an educational program to where I show people how to actually think like a player. And then from there, I have different offers, including meta updates, free teams, all that kind of stuff. But just follow me. You'll see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to keep on doing it. I'm not going to give up. The point is, if you're trying to get better, just stay consistent with it. Just do not give up because it sucks. And that's where 90% of people leave, is whenever it sucks and they're like, I'm going to do something else. But if you just persist through that, it does get better. Because if you're at your low, the only place to go is either neutral or up. Like, you cannot go down anymore. You know, it's like, it's just logic. Like, but that's my philosophy, you know?
Nowhere to go but up from here. Exactly. I like
Right.
I like that. And I do like your resources. A lot of times you're posting like not every Pokemon speed stats, but like the important ones to know, and like why this Pokemon is always running this amount of speed investment, or is like, as you mentioned, the Whimsicott is calm instead of timid. Like those are the things you're honed in on. I think that does help level the gap because there's so much information that is so overwhelming to a new player trying to learn this game that like if they just have the resource available to you to know, okay, this is why, I don't know, Incineroar runs 36 attack adamant because that's the speed buff, or that's the point buffer, right? If you're running the adamant stat, right? Like somebody, if you figure that out for them, they then now as a student don't have to figure out and learn through that failure more. So I think, are there a lot of areas in VGC, like correct me if I'm wrong, that like just those little things that people wouldn't pay attention to, they help click so much and help improve a player's placements immediately.
Yeah, no, that's really what it comes down to is like, if you're better than 90, it's easier to be better than 99 percent of players than it is to be better. Like, it's easier to get from 90% better to 99 to 99 to 99.999. Like, it's like
Yeah.
getting from that like little tiny amount. It's because it's the tiny things, because I'm at a level, I'm probably better than like, I'd say like 98% of like the average Pokemon community right now. Like, but it's like, I need to get like to that point, like 99.999. It's like, that is, and I'm currently around there, you know, I'm probably 98th percentile, but, or whatever, second percent. The point is, I feel like there's still a lot ahead of me in terms of improvement, but it's getting harder and harder to figure out because it's little tiny things that if I don't think about, I will just miss like that. And it's like, that's what it takes, is just like like refining your craft to the point where it's like, you are so good at it, but then it's like, you got to figure out what you're not good at, which becomes harder and harder the better you get at it, because there's less and less you're not as good at. But the things that do matter are way more impactful, but you just don't know about them yet because they're just. And there's no structured education either. That's the other thing about VGC. You just got to just do it and just like hope it just works and hope you just learn. Like it's hard. It's a hard path right now. It's so freaking hard out there. I'll tell you that. But yeah.
There's you need a lot of internal motivation as well as like groups or friends or coaches or others that can motivate you, can help you, keep you accountable, as you said. Because if you're, if I'm outside, I might just be playing League of Legends instead of playing my practice for Pittsburgh
Same.
or something.
Oh my goodness! If I was not busy with my business, I would just be sitting on my butt playing League. Arena. By the way, I love Arena.
Yes.
All day.
Shout out to Tommy Cooling, NAFC superstar. He's my arena duo for League, and we play Trundle Vi. When we
Joe,
play
you
arena.
and I gotta hop in the arena sometime, my man.
Bro,
oh my goodness, I had no idea you played arena like that. What are these days? We'll get in sometime this week. I'll close you on that. We'll get that.
Yeah, we'll figure it. I'm down. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this last coaching question, because this is the divisive, but this is the hot topic. This is the drama, the Civil War Iron Man Captain America fight coach question.
Okay.
I'm a new player. I'm trying to learn to play VGC competitively. Should I build my own teams, or should I play other people's team pace and use those to get better? I have to ask you, Brady. You've probably been asked a million times.
So, yes, I have. And I have a very well thought out answer to this. So thank you for saying that, because this now gives me an opportunity to say that to a public space. So, guys, if you are new to the game, and if you are just looking to play, I would say just pick up a team and just start playing. The reason why is because there's less variables. There's 3 variables you got to look at to improve. Number 1, there is your team. Is your team bad? That variable gets completely removed. So there's only 2 variables we need to worry about, which is my playing bad and is my planning bad? You only have to worry about 2 things. That being said, once you get to a certain level where you start feeling a bit more confident and a bit more courageous, by all means, hit the builder. And for what it's worth, I got into Pokemon through building. I think it's so much fun. Never stop building. Do it for fun. But once you get beat like 5 times in a row in the best of 3 ladder, it's probably time to just throw the hatchet and be like, okay, that was fun. Why didn't it work? And you can make it an exercise. I think that if you're trying to improve at building, that's a different quest from trying to be the best player in the world. So it depends on your goal. If you're trying to be a good builder, never ever stop building. But if you're looking for a fast track to success, I would highly recommend just finding teams and making slight adjustments that fit your play style and tickle your fancy over time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, that's a fair middle ground to come to, and it again depends on intent and what you're trying to get out of it. Like we've been talking about so much in this conversation. For example, like I love team building way more than playing. Like, I think that's my favorite aspect of a team, is like seeing this synergy. And okay, this Pokemon works. And now if I change this special defense investment to this, now this matchup feels way better. And all of those things click way better for me when I can help build a team compared to actually piloting it properly. And I think getting in the door, if you were at 0, getting in the door, just play Shohei's team and figure out, right? Just to get from 0 to 10%, just so you know, okay, Maridon's pretty good. Okay, turns out, okay, now I know this is Maridon's good. Because if you're starting at 0 and you're using a Scoville and Oinkoin team, and you think, but I want to make my own team, it's like, but it's nothing you do is going to matter anyway, because you don't know how to build the team properly,
Yeah. Also, by the way, another little tiny bonus of just copying people's teams, just yoinking them real quick and just being like, okay, this is my team now. A really good part is you learn how to play those best tools. So your team building in the process becomes more refined because you start to learn the limits of Maridon. Is bulky Maridon better or fast Maridon? You can feel the difference, and that can help you with your team building choices in the future. So just another point in that direction. You just thank you for the assist. I'm just going to go for the dunk real quick, but thank you.
Yeah, because it gets you from 0 to 50 better. Like, as you were saying, from 0 to 90 and the 90 to 99th percentile or whatever. Like, just understanding the basics. You're going to lose because you don't know people's speed stats. You don't even know your own Pokemon speed stats, but you'll eventually learn, oh, this is what Incineroar's role is on this team. This is what, Zamazenta's role is on this team. Oh, I got outsped. Oh, I've lost every single CSR mirror here. I wonder why. Oh, it turned out I'm not full speed. Okay, now I know going into the next matchup and so I think it's been a lot of fun, insightful information. I do have one final question for you, though, Brady, as we get into our question of the week. So thank you all for making it to the end of the episode here. As you all know, we ask one question of the week posted from one of our community members every single week at the end of our podcast. So if you ever have any burning questions that you need Sierra or myself or our guests to answer, please join our Discord in the description down below. And we will ask one question every week. And this one comes from Lebanon Don. Shout outs to Lebanon. Just recently got married over NASC weekend as well. Congratulations to you as well, Lebanon Don. Very simple question, Brady. What should VGCers do during the downtime between NASC and Worlds? Should you play other games? Should you play more Pokemon? Should you go outside and touch grass and smell the air? What's the best thing to do in this random 2-month downtime?
I'm just going to tie it back into our topic intention. What do you want from your life? If you want to do good at this game, then start setting your scope now. If you do not want that, if you try to be casual, now's the time to be casual. The point is set your intention. And, I come from a cybersecurity background. Now, I'm not like crazy at like cyber. It's like I kind of stopped my craft ever since I started this whole Pokemon stuff. But the point is, a big part of the hacker cycle is that they spend like 80% of their work in the reconnaissance phase. So this is the planning and preparation phase. This is very parallel to VGC. So if you are looking for a future where you win a regional, and if you don't think you can, well, the first thing stopping you is belief. You got to believe you can. And then from there, I would start simply planning. How are you going to do it? What do you feel like you're better than 99% of people with? All you got to do is just make an action plan right now. And then just sit on it every day. And then just every day you're not working towards that action plan is a wasted opportunity. And you got to start seeing it as life or death. If it's your business, if you're growing a business, if it's this game, if it's just your fitness goals, whatever it is, it's like just envision something and just go with that something. And then just make sure every day you're working on it. You don't have to bust your butt doing it, but just be consistent, So right now during the downtime, I would say if your intention and your goal is genuinely to be a top 0.1% player, a top 1% player, I would say your craft never stops. Start looking at a different mindset. Start approaching the game in a different way. If your goal is to go outside and become more physically active and be a casual Pokemon player, then go outside, touch some grass. That sounds like an awesome life. There's so many other things you can do in life than just Pokemon, dude. Like, I'll tell you that. But the point is, whatever your intention is, like, I'm just a big proponent of just encouraging other people to reach their goals, what they want to achieve with their lives. So if it's Pokemon related, then, just keep going. Don't stop. If it's life, then, hey, wherever that leads you, just keep going, but just work for something great in yourself. That's all.
I think that's fair. I think under this context of let's use a person, like somebody qualified for Worlds, right? After NASC, what do I do from NASC to Worlds? Like, do I play games? Like, my recommendations, I absolutely would play other games. I absolutely would go touch grass and breathe the air outside and do other things, not play Pokemon. But like, if you're from June 17th to August 14th, nonstop, 10 hours a day, Pokemon every day. Like, by the time round 1 of Swiss starts, you might be burnt out already. You might lose just because your brain is fried. And so I think you have that reprieve. You have that. Read a book. You know what I'm saying? Like, do something. Like, keep your brain off of. Always have Pokemon in the back of your mind because you want to win Worlds. You want to be the best that you can. But like, don't overvalue the Pokemon, because 2 months is, as we know from our trying to fill out our podcast scheduling for these 2 months of no events, it's a long time. And if you think you cracked the code on June 29th, you have the world's winning team. Well, now you got to wait a month and a half. And then, or if you waited a little later, then everyone else is you're beating teams that people aren't even bringing to Worlds, by the way, because everyone else is still just trying to figure stuff out. So you crack the code on a format that you're not going to be playing. So, like, if you wait a little bit longer, the teams will be more established. You're more likely to be facing what you anticipate facing at Worlds. And other fun things there, Brady. You play other games. you get inspired from some of the other stories and things. Now you have other nicknames that you can use for your Pokemon from other things that you like. You know what I
That's
mean?
true. You know, fun fact, by the way,
Anime, game,
playing Smash
shows.
Bros. Actually, you can't do that anymore because if you name your Pokemon like an anime or a trademark character, remember it can be like axed.
Well, but it depends. Okay, so you can't name them Goku, but you can name them a real person's name that had like
right, that
like a real
happens to be an
human's name.
anime. I got you. Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense. Fun fact, by the way, playing Smash Bros. I swear this helped me become better at Pokemon. Like the reason why is because this was 2018. I learned how to play Hyper Offense, and like the reason, like basically, I had no idea how to approach it. But what the mindset I learned from Smash is that you just need to force proactive 50-50s and then just capitalize on them and trust in your subconscious to win those and navigate through those. Hey, it got me to 18th at Worlds. It might sound crazy, but you know, it got me 18th at Worlds. But yeah, anyways.
Dang. It was who was your main? Who helped you get to 18th? That was the real question.
Okay, number 1, Captain Falcon. Love Captain
That's
Falcon.
Hyper Offense to me. Yep.
Yes, you just go in their face, you angle up a knee, like you back air them, keep them off the ledge. Oh my, I love Falcon.
So all right, that's the if you learn anything from this episode today, it's play Captain Falcon. It'll make you a better VGC player. That's the moral of the story. All right, Brady, thank you so much. One last time, if you have any shout outs for yourself, where can people find all your social media and your coaching information?
Give me a follow on Twitter. That's where I'm most active. VGC Corner. Also join the Discord. I'm pretty active in there. That's all the real things I got. I guess shout out a few of my friends, shout out Gaz. You guys are, freaking goats. I love you guys. You guys are my, my friends. Shout out the VGC Corner community. Shout out Kylie. That's my girl of, we just hit 4 years, by the way. Congratulations to us. Thank you. And yeah, just, thank you guys, girls or, they, thems, whatever, for listening. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. And yeah, just, hopefully you guys got some value out of this and we'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Brady, so much for joining our podcast with us this week. Hopefully Sierra, unless she's stuck, I don't know, jugging and other Fortnite. I'm trying to think of I've only played Fortnite literally one time, so I'm trying to think of memes to things that you do there. But if she's not doing Fortnite next week, hopefully she'll be back for our next episode here on OHKO. So thank you, Brady. Thank you, Sierra. I've been Joe Brown. This is OHKO. We will see you next week.